Hey, all right, but welcome back to the Buck Junkie Podcast. We are back in action. We had a week or so off there, didn't we, guys?
Might be a little rusty today.
Yeah, what'd y'all do last week?
I mean, we was here. You wasn't here.
I had I had to go to a conference out in Texas, so I didn't get to do any hunting either. So
we got to work out here on the farm while we didn't. We wasn't doing the podcast. We got all of our food plots planted and
had a rain, somewhat of a rain event.
Somewhat of a rain, yeah. Everything's poking out of the ground right now, but it ain't what we wanted to look like. But hey, it's up, and hopefully we get a few more rain events between now and deer season.
Mississippi, that's been the case from what I've seen from everybody. Is everybody's sitting there waiting on rain.
Yeah,
I did find, man, I can't remember what TikTok it was, but I think it's a property management guy that's been talking a lot about food plots, and they were kind of taking this drought approach to planting theirs instead of going and prepping the fields like we do.
Yeah,
they were just leaving it up, whatever weeds or whatever it growed from the summer. They didn't kill it, they didn't spray it, they just went in and bush hogged it and left all that green manure on the ground, and then they were counting on that moisture so it kind of had that approach to where we were talking about. The
buffalo system,
rolling it in, but they used that as to plant their seeds in, so there would be some moisture in it.
We did that on a couple of fields. A couple of years ago? We went in and there was Johnson grass and stuff. And anyways, me and Jamie we loaded the cedar up and we just planted straight into it, just kind of plowed it down, but it, that thatch was laying there and it came up through it. I mean, I got one to plant today that's about 5 acres and it's about waist high in grass, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Is that what you're gonna do? It hasn't been sprayed or anything.
He tilled it up, but we didn't get no rain, so the Johnson grass, all the weeds came back up in it. So I'm not going to re-till it. I'm just going to plant straight into it and frost kill the grass, and hopefully everything's up and healthy up under it whenever it gets killed by the frost.
Now, that's the advantage that woods planter we got. Especially if the ground been pre-broke previously, it does great on that.
What were you telling me about do all this morning, Jamie? About that'd be a good piece of machinery for us to get next.
Yeah, just because on some of the bigger plots, we're running a disc on. Of course, the disc it's going to throw. I call it like windrow, whatever on the outside. The blade's going to be a higher amount of dirt. Over time, it's going to get rougher. So if we had to do all, you go over and it's going to knock up the clods, flatten them back out, give you a whole lot smoother planting field and easier riding over for later on for sure.
So it's just to prep the field basically after you heavy disc.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can get on Marketplace an old or used one for anywhere from $2,500 on up.
Do you still have to come back and cultipack it after that, or is it just smooth?
No, you can go ahead and just go over that, and then we can go with that woods planter or the 4-row planter we got out there too. You could do it with it also.
And then you'd harrow the seeds in, I guess, or cover them back up a little bit.
You're done.
Yeah.
It definitely
might be something we need to look at.
Rough, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's when we bought that other piece of property. You could tell it had just been heavy disc, and man, it made like whippy-doos.
Oh, like even on the side-by-side, it beat you to death riding across it.
Well, I know it's got to be in the tractor. It's got to be rough, too, going across those fields. It's been disc so heavy. I mean, I guess like where they disc those trails before back over on that north side, it was so rough that first year or so we had it that you couldn't even hardly ride on it.
Yeah. If you, like we went in discing, it's not too bad. It's got a few bumps and things out there in it, but that cedar we got's got that cultipacker on the back, so it kind of breaks out some of that stuff and levels it out pretty good. But if you're going behind the disc trying to plant, oh Lord, yeah, you're bouncing. It's pretty freaking rough.
Now Mark got that cultipacker on the back of that woods planter pretty dang tight though. I guess it stayed tight the whole day.
It moved a little bit, not bad.
And it made a huge difference.
I got to get some spacers made to keep that cultipacker where I guess it's meant to be adjustable. I know some people said they run it floating, but that defeats the purpose, in my opinion.
They don't have no weight on it.
You got to have weight to, pack it, So
on this woods planter, it's got, it's 8 foot wide, I think what it is.
84.
Yeah.
We run a disc at the front, then it's got I don't know what you call it.
It's the drive wheel. It's got spikes.
Yeah,
but
it's got spikes, and it does help bust up the clods. And it's got a big hopper do big seeds, and then smaller hopper do small seeds, and then a cultipacker at the back. And it's all in one. It's heavy. It's super heavy. It's heavy. But that thing does really, really well.
But you're able to load, what we have in it? Oats, wheat, planted some radishes, and then in the back we had clover dropping everywhere too. So
it's got 2 seed. Like you can put the bigger seeds in one hopper and then small seeds in another.
Well, that gives you a chance to make a mix that you make your own kind of,
And And with that planter, it's, that wheel, they're talking about that drive wheel, the big seeds fall out in front of it or right on top of it. And then right behind it's where your smaller seeds come out. So only thing it really touches the smaller seed is that little cultipacker. It just kind of pushes them in the ground.
Yeah, because you clover and I guess rape and all that kind of stuff. You don't want that
real deep.
Want it deep.
Yeah.
It's pretty much barely under the surface.
So how much did y'all plant, do you think?
We went through a lot.
Well, I think
Mark and Jamie planted about 35 acres worth of seed on about 20.
You got a little overseeding going. That's good. I don't mind.
just right.
Well, hey, how many times has it been like, so we're waiting on rain, but then you get a rain, but it's too hard of a rain.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that, you need rain, but a heavy rain can be just as bad as a good rain because it's going to wash all them seeds out. And we had that happen. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had it both ways.
The thing about Mikey talking about us putting out a lot, you can't. So we set the planter up to where it was it was close. It might have been a little heavy, but it was close. But you can't see it after that cedar runs over it. A lot of those seeds you never see again. So like I was walking behind a planter, like looking, like seeing how thick it was putting it out. And I was like, well, it looks good.
It's covering them up.
It's covering them up, I mean, but you rake it back and look and see. I mean, we might have been a little heavy. It was all right.
It's probably heavy on clover a little bit.
Yeah, it's good to overseed though. I mean, if you're just planting it for deer, I mean, you want to overseed because if you like ours, we've got a lot of turkeys.
Yeah, how many turkeys finna eat up what we just planted?
I mean, they get out there and they scratch up that field. They'll go right behind that planter. We'll leave, and that afternoon they'll be out there on the camera scratching up the field.
If you're planting it for a crop field for money,
you want to space it out. Now your greens, you kind of want to get your greens set pretty close. It depends on what you want your greens to look like. You plant turnip, radish, stuff like that. They're gonna get a lot bigger, and you're gonna get a lot more root. The bulbs on one that's spread out and is planted like it's supposed to be, than like really condensed. Where it's just all your leaves are touching, and it's not going to make very many bulbs in that. It'll make a few, but not many.
We were going for the high bushel per acre kind of plant. That's what we were going for.
I think that's what you got.
Well, we did. We planted, I think, every bag of seed we got out there. I think it's...
Yeah, we ain't got none left. I had to stop by the co-op this morning get 2 more bags.
So what mix did you get a mix from the co-op, or did you just mix it yourself?
I mixed it myself. This time of the year, a lot of those co-ops will mix their own, and you're not sure what you're getting. It's like be ryegrass and, several other different kinds of things. So I feel more comfortable with us mixing it ourselves. You buy it from like Revere local, or it is Revere now. They've got a really good mix. It's got a lot of different things in there, really good clover in it. And that was kind of what I was wanting for those clover fields, but we wasn't able to get stuff from them this year.
I think there was a problem getting some of that white clover seed from folks.
What we were wanting was the clover seed, the mix that had the clover in it, that comes back during the spring. It comes up, the red comes up in the fall, and it'll stay through the spring, and then that white will kind of run on through the spring, summer, and then it'll establish for the next couple of years. And they didn't have enough whenever I ordered it, so we missed out on that one. So we just mixed our own. We bought was it Pennington?
Yeah,
white,
I think so.
Arana clover, and then we put in a red clover, and then we had daikon radish. We put that daikon radish in there it kind of helps the soil. It's a root vegetable, and it goes down. It kind of breaks up your soil, draws nutrients from way down, and brings them kind of to the surface. And then they rot, and of course that's fertilizer. So, but the deer do eat them.
I've seen them pull them out of the ground last year and eat them. Some of them juggers grow to nearly 2 foot long.
And then we plant, get planting wheat. Don't get the wheat that's non-germinating. Get the planting wheat, or you can get cereal rye, either one, along with some oats. We get bob oats or black or whatever they got. The deer seem to like they like that mix.
It's done well in our climate.
It has.
That's something you got to watch at all these big box stores and these bulk bags. You got so much fillers in there that you're not getting
ryegrass and a lot of them, just because it'll turn green and come up anywhere.
Yep, that's something you got to watch.
What was in the old Delta Plot Plus mix we used to plant?
It was pretty much that. It was 3 grains, and then it had the 2 kinds of clover.
I think it may have had peas or some kind of pea. Winter pea. Yeah. It was about the only thing that was different.
I've never, some people swear by planting those Austrian winter peas, but those deer wipe them out.
I was going to say, most of the time you don't see them get up, and there's so few and far between in the mix that you got one, you may have a dozen of them in a space the size of this room. Well, the deer will nip them off and they're gone.
Yep.
You know, that's it.
We need to try it again. We need to try the cowpeas again to see.
I love some cowpeas.
Well, see, they grow great in the summer.
Well, I'm saying to see, last time we planted them, they didn't stand a chance. All right, we got more food. We got the population better. See if he'll make it 2 weekends instead of just one.
I would love to do cowpeas, and I'd love to do soybeans. That'd be two I'd like to do. But it's
I'm still sold. I noticed this morning, I got here early and jumped on side by side and rode around. And that buckwheat has done re-sprouted and re-bloomed. Did y'all notice that when y'all were out there?
I didn't get back on this side the other day.
Wherever it got kicked off, or like we didn't plant some winter plots where I guess just some of that stuff was growing, it re-germinated. Like I guess after it dried out or got bush hogged over, it knocked some of those seeds down and it's came back up. I mean, it's not going to make it past frost, but the deer absolutely love it.
Yeah, so when we bush hogged it, it was a lot of dry seed heads on top, and I kind of thought about that, and some of it I sprayed. I bush hogged it, left it for a week, sprayed it, and it, it must have been down up under that thatch where it germinated after we disc it. So,
do you think they like it more than vetch?
That combo, but what's great about that combo is you can spray it.
Yeah,
like it doesn't have competing mix in it, and that's the problem with we tried to do beans and peas and vetch and all this other stuff. You're limited on what you can do chemical wise.
I'm just wondering as far as like this year we had the mix, and I know we got the population better and we got more food for them in the summer, but like the pond stand last year got wiped out. The vetch maintained, but it was wiped out, and this year it wasn't as aggressive. And I mean that could be a good thing because we have numbers are more right,
but we also planted a lot more vetch in different areas too. I mean, we had 8 acres of 6 acres of vetch down in the bottom, and that last year that was the only vetch field we had. The rest of it was, some other stuff that we had planted that buffalo system that it did okay, but our soil wasn't correct enough for that to do right. And it couldn't keep up with the deer pressure because they were eating them beans and stuff as fast as it came up.
I do think we could do beans next year and do okay.
Yeah, we can try it. The only bad thing about trying it is if they wipe them out, that's it.
You're done.
Yeah, because you done missed you done got into that, no rain and, you might catch a rain here or there, but.
We still got plenty of acreage over there. We can have a sacrificial area, get it planted.
Do split field, do half beans, half something, or at least it was something there.
That's kind of what was the thing in this fall by putting those turnips in early. That was one thing I noticed today, man. Turnip plots look really good. Yeah. They're on the one side of that ditch.
If you notice, like when we did, we got that grow on the wall, which we're going to have to evaluate that once the frost hits. We might have got it to.
It's more like the grow in the jungle.
Yeah.
Man, it's taller this year than it ever been.
Plantation field, I mean, I wish we had like an aerial picture from last year to this year.
Get the drone out and go over there.
It's nowhere near the same property now. I mean, it's crazy.
That's like when I was planting last week. Down there, matter of fact, and Mikey was on the side by side, and I was running the planter, and I'd get done with one little patch, and I'd be like, "All right, I'm done." And you round the corner, I was like, "Crap, there's another one." And you go around the next corner, crap, how many food plots we got out here? Like it was 10 micro plots in that field. I
think it's going to be better instead of having just one big swath of open food plot.
It's got to.
Oh, I know we're going to see more deer, but
shots will be limited.
I think it's going to be one of them things like. They've got somewhere to hide now. So, like the whole sitting on your phone or Michael over there snoozing, old Buck's going to get by him
your
one day.
eyes open, yeah. Better have your eyes open.
Better. Makes you have to watch a little harder.
Something else we did too that, people need to think about when they're planting plots and things. If you're depleting a summer plot, like I left, about 2 to 4 feet all the way around that grow on the wall in all the plots. I left that vetch still up. Because it'll make it plumb through probably almost to November, just to leave something there for the deer to browse on while it's naked ground out there.
So did our temperatures finally drop last week?
Yeah.
I was out of town. Did y'all see a frost? Did it come close to frost, or has it been that cold yet? Have we had a frost date?
I think like 58 was 47, 50.
It was 51 Saturday night. We were on the back porch. I think it's the coolest I've seen. And I think it was supposed to get down to like 41 Sunday morning or something, but I didn't see no sign of frost whatsoever. Bermuda's still green. Usually you see it where it's got the squigglies in the yard, right out the gate. But
I did notice the persimmon trees are still loaded. They ain't the ones that are low they pulled them all off, but up high trees are still loaded. I hadn't seen many muscadines. They must be gone.
I think they get after them first. By the time the squirrels and the coons and all the tree critters that's up there shaking them down, knocking them down, you know, that's kind of their first choice. So all that's down.
Acorns are looking good. They're still green. I hadn't went and checked any on the white oaks to see what they're like this year.
I hadn't checked any white oaks. I know some of the smaller oaks, you know, like the water oaks and pin oaks, stuff like that. They're pretty loaded.
Yeah.
But
Saltoosh, they've been dropping.
yeah, all the ones that are at my house, they're about done.
Are they?
Yeah, they dropped way earlier this year. They started dropping.
Are they usually finished up by November 1st or?
Yeah, usually they're done by right around rifle season, opening weekend of rifle season. They're pretty much done.
They need to change that to bow season oaks.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
But right now, it's pretty much done now.
I actually been, which isn't just regular red oaks in my front yard, but it's been a couple does and yearlings out in my front yard eating.
So what I noticed is squirrels started knocking them down.
Yeah.
So they're knocking down green acorns. I guess they're cutting limbs, and the deer coming there to clean them up, what they don't get.
My yard's full of
Speaking of squirrels, me and Mikey, we went to, where was it?
We went to the World Championship Squirrel Cooking Contest
In Springdale, Arkansas.
Yeah. We went to Mossy Oak.
Are we going to talk about that first?
We can. You want to go in order?
Yeah, let's go in order. This has been 2 weeks ago. We did a podcast that week, and then y'all went and cooked the contest. Won a grant. First off, congratulations, fellas. Y'all won another grand championship in the MBN contest up in
Murfreesboro,
Illinois.
That was a big one. That's one for the books right there.
Yeah.
We got a hog and a rib out of that one. That was good.
That was all right there.
Yeah, we left Thursday? Was it Thursday?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago Thursday.
Left on a Thursday.
Got invited down to the Mossy Oak in West Point, Mississippi. They did what was it? It was the Mossy Oak Properties was hosting it.
Yeah.
But it was a fundraiser for
it was
Catch a Dream.
Catch a Dream, and they had St. Jude Catch a Dream and something else on the fundraiser. But they did a live auction,
wild game dinner,
wild game dinner that was very impressive. I don't guess I've ever seen anything quite like that. That much
to that scale.
Yeah. And just the people that were there that were cooking the stuff, you know, we got down there. I really didn't know what to expect. You know, when we got down there, you know, we went in and kind of browsed around everything out there in the auction and stuff, and then me and you wound up hanging out there where they were doing all the cooking at, which was the fun place to hang out.
That's where I migrated to. They're in kind of the bar, but
yeah. So, you know, we kind of stayed out there in that area, and I really didn't know any of these people at all, you know, and I was really looking for Toxie and Cuz, and, you know, I knew Toxie's boys, what they looked like, but other than that was all I knew. I didn't know anybody else. And I didn't know them just other than just seeing them on TV. But then there was guys out there we were talking to that I didn't realize who they were. You know, they were giving us little testers and try this and try this and try this, you know, and wound up being John Currents.
From Oxford, famous chef. Yeah.
Some of my favorite restaurants right there.
Man. We stayed in a cottage at the old Waverly Golf Course with them. Yeah. I didn't have no clue that's who we were staying with. We just needed a place to crash.
What is it? Up. He's got an Oxford Boo-Ray, Big Bad Breakfast,
City Grocery. Snack bar.
Yep.
I know he's got 4. He may have more than that in Oxford.
So I know they probably wasn't cooking good old
they weren't cooking fried tenderloin.
So gravy like I like, but
it started out the guys from Mexico. Y'all remember Mexican Gulf? They were down there in Old Venice. They had the big charters, and they brought in their boats was bringing in all the tunas. Those guys were there, and they had brought up tuna, and they brought up tuna. They were shucking oysters. They had all these shrimp done up, and they brought up somebody brought a bunch of salmon too.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the start of it. They set up, it was cool. It was like an old wooden boat with like wood transom, the whole thing. And they had that inside the place and kind of turned up on its side a little bit. They filled it up with ice and all this seafood. So you got to eat all that stuff. They made fresh tuna ceviche. I forget what all they did on that. It was chargrillo oysters and had raw oysters.
Did you eat the tuna ceviche?
I didn't.
Mikey?
No, I mean, once they started putting stuff out, man, there was a line. So we just kind of, they were feeding me and Malcom out there.
We were eating it off the fire pits, off the grill. So they had the Brio guys were there. They had came up from the big
How many
Ace
grills
Hardware
did they
show.
have?
I'll bet there was probably 10, all the way from the 32 to this big. I don't know how big was that one, 60 maybe.
I don't know what it was. It was big.
They had, when we first got there, they had whole lambs stretched out like on these iron crosses, and they had done cooked whole lambs, and they had pulled them off and let them rest, and then they were going to put them right back over the direct fire on those fire pits, and I don't know how they must have had 2 or 3 cords of wood there they were burning, because they constantly had fires going in these pits. And they did lamb, they did quail. There was whole quail around the outside of the fire pits. They did all that they did the salmon out there on them. On these fire pits they had like this cast iron disc that sits on top of it. It still leaves a hole for the fire, but it's kind of like a flat top cooker around the edge of the whole thing, the fire pit. And that's what they were doing a lot of that cooking on.
They did the oysters on them.
They did the char grilled oysters on those. Chef Kearns was doing.
Kearns was over there cooking.
He brought lamb with his lamb.
I think it was lamb, because he had them on those big swords.
Yeah,
or whatever you call them.
It looked like a sword to me.
So he was making kind of like the Euro style meat. You know, it was it was just a big ball of meat about 3 foot long he was over getting a sear on them, rolling them around on the Brio stoves, and then his people were coming over getting them and shaving them and then making these tacos out of them, or little mini gyros.
It was gyros, and man, they had that tzatziki sauce.
That was one of the best I've ever eaten.
Yeah, that was going to say hands down. That's probably the best that I'd ever. I was blown away. And then what was he putting over it? They were sprinkling it with
sumac.
Yeah, sumac flour. And I always thought that was like poison ivy.
Yeah, I think y'all need poison oak.
I didn't want to eat. I was afraid my lips were going to swell up.
But we did, and man, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
those brios are freaking slick. I got one. I love cooking on it. Like, it's the little sear rack around the outside. We've done a lot with them.
We need to do some Buck Junkie cooking live fire here at the camp right over those. I think you could stretch out a deer. Now, we might have to kill the small one. Well, I mean, you know,
that big pit you brought home.
Yeah,
that doe you killed last year lay right across it. You know, no problem.
Mine wouldn't. Michael's would. So we need to find us a small one. Go ahead and sacrifice it. Jamie, we won't let you watch.
Hey, I bet he'll come over when it's time to get a plate ready, though.
But that would be cool to stretch a deer out like that and just roast it right over the fire. Because the way those things work, those rods kind of stick in. They got a slot, and it's not directly over it. It kicks it out to the side, and so you kind of rotate it to where it's cooking even as you go, and you can move it around. I think you can do up to 4 of them on one of those 32-inch pits. And then you just make you up a mop. You got an old mop. Well, I don't know what all they had in there, man. It looked like a concoction. And they would mop those things as they were, and stuff was dripping down. Man, it smelled awesome.
It was hard to leave that area, because just everything that they were doing, which a lot of it was new to me. I mean, I'd never seen that done like that style of cooking. I
hadn't seen that one.
Yeah, that was pretty slick. Like, but it was also getting fed, so it was kind of hard to leave from there. They was feeding us a little beer and something to eat, so... but yeah, then Michael Hunter, which he's a chef out of
Saskatchewan,
Toronto, Canada.
Is it Toronto?
Toronto. I think that's what it was. But anyways, Antler Kitchen and Bar is what he owned, and he cooked a wild boar. Man, he gave me a piece of that wild boar, and it was freaking phenomenal. I mean, it was nothing on it. It was just a plug. Him and his buddy flew down from Toronto. What was his name? Jody. Yeah. And he's a cast iron dude. That's what I was going to say. You need to
yeah. We'll get into that. But they flew down and went to Mossy Oak's little family, where their cabin is, and they got their family land as their old, I guess it's Fox's hunting camp, or been in their family for years. And he shot that boar that week. I think he shot it on like Wednesday. And we were there on Thursday, right?
Thursday.
Yeah. So it was just been a day. It had been 24 hours, and he cooked it, and he had their old, it was like a comp trailer. But it was like,
old school.
It was old. Yeah. Yeah. It was old, but it looked cool. And man, I tell you what, I was thoroughly impressed. Like, I've had wild boar, and I'm like, it ain't the best. Not when you're used to cooking competition hogs, you can imagine the meat just didn't have the fat. Now I don't know. They must have had that pinned up.
I don't know, man. I had never eaten one that tastes like that.
I had the meat taste. It was as good as any barbecue we turned into the contest. I mean, just for the flavor of the meat, it wasn't all doctored up and sauced up or anything. It was just smoked wild boar, and he didn't do it whole. He quartered it up, so he cooked it in all the primals separately. But the meat was juicy. It was tender when he was pulling it up. And were they doing anything? How were they serving that? Were they making wild boar tacos?
I didn't see how they served it.
I think that's where they were bringing it back. And Matt and Craig were.
Is that what they were doing? Matt and Craig were mixing it. That's right. They were. That's what they were doing. They were making those tacos. And
they had a really good sauce. It was like an avocado crema lime sauce that they were serving
was really
with those.
Good too, that Craig had made up. I guess he made that up. He took credit for it.
He said he got it from another wild game cooking up there in Seattle, Washington. He had went to. They were doing that.
That would be the last place I would go to a wild game cooking in Seattle, Washington.
Hey, I mean, you never know what you might see up there. I mean, they got all kinds of stuff Pacific Northwest, man. They can maybe eat bear and moose and
trout.
A lot of all kinds of seafood. I mean, Seattle's known for seafood, so I imagine he has some good seafood up there.
I looked up Michael Hunter after we left there, and just kind of did a little research on him. But that restaurant he has, he cooks wild game there. So whatever he's got available is what's on the menu. Plus he does a lot of, like gathering and picking mushrooms and foraging and picking up things that he puts on his menu. So he kind of said, I'm sure he buys some things that out of the grocery store. Not everything comes out of the woods or, he didn't kill it, but he actually did, I think, a hunt with Mossy Oak where he elk hunted on one of their videos, and he killed elk and cooked the elk.
So he came down and did some of those, I forget, what did they call it? It was with the meat that I cooked with them, the wild game butchery meat. And he's made a lot of videos. If you go to Mossy Oak's app or download their app, I think you can get it on TVs and stuff too. But they've got a whole like recipe cooking section on there, and he's done a lot of stuff with them on that. So actually, I got hooked up, and he was like, "Man, I want to come back down and do some cooking." Yeah. So hopefully, I'm going to get to go back here in December and do some cooking with him at the Mossy Oak cabin. We're going to do some more try to do some videos with some of the stuff that we get there and some of their wild game butchery. So
him and Jody were a lot of fun.
I get to hunt.
Jody showed us a TikTok that he made. How many hits did he get off of that?
Dude, it was like 6 million. It was millions of doing cast iron restoration.
Yeah.
And he does it in it's like a chemical vat that he puts a charge on it.
You take a battery charger, hook up to it.
Yeah, that's electrolysis. He's electrolysis restoration of cast iron. I watched the video. It's pretty dang cool.
That's like a hobby of his. He goes, because he had told me that they had went around, I guess, West Point to some of the little antique shops or something like that. And he had picked up certain pieces of cast iron that he was looking for there in town, and he was going to take them back home and do all that stuff to them, restore them, and
that's pretty cool. If you ever check into it, how they take some of those old ones that you find, it looks like they're rusted and gone to crap.
Bring them back, bring them
right back to a smooth
I think I've seen his TikTok doing that. I'm pretty sure that was him, but it's pretty neat.
But we got to meet some interesting people while we were at Mossy Oak. I thought I was country. Right until I met this lady.
So me and Mike, you're standing there minding our own business.
How come y'all always meet ladies at the bar?
Eating food. They're just attracted to us. We look interesting.
Every time y'all go somewhere, it's an odd lady that
maybe we're always looking. I don't know, but we're standing there minding our own business, back of a pickup truck, having a cold beer. Done ate all this food, and this lady comes walking by, and she's got a koozie, but it's got a big coontail on it.
It looks like a coon skin hat.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like, but it's made into a koozie for a beer can.
Daniel Boone hat made into a koozie. And so I'm like, hey, I guess I did call her over. I don't know.
Well, she was walking by about 15 times because I done seen her, and I kept asking. I was like, did you see that koozie that lady's got? Like, what is that? And then she finally came back by, and Malcolm just kind of asked her about it. And what she said, this is I forget what his name was. I forget the name of the coon.
Was it Rascal? I don't know if it was.
It was something like that.
Cooter. Cooter. No,
his name was Cooter.
The coon's name was Cooter on this gal now.
So the coon's name was Cooter, and Cooter died. So she wanted something to remember Cooter by.
She drinks out of him now.
She had this ain't the good part. This ain't the good part. So she had a beer huggy made out of Cooter.
With tail and all, still on it.
Still on
Full furred up.
And I still hadn't noticed this on her neck And we're sitting there talking, and then I look down, and she reaches and grabs this coon pecker
Yeah, Cooter was a male.
that she had made a necklace out of hanging around her neck. And I was like, I knew I'd been out countryed right there, man.
She said, and I got this to Cooter too. Y'all know what this is. And I was like, well, as a matter of fact, we do know what that is, but
We just don't wear them.
I've never seen anybody make a necklace out of it. I've heard of a toothpick now, so I guess why not? I don't know if I can talk
dual purpose.
I don't know if I
Yeah,
can talk my wife into wearing one of
Wearing
those.
that piece of jewelry.
But maybe we need to go coon hunting and we can get into Christmas jewelry. That'd be some good Christmas
Earrings,
presents.
necklaces,
And ornaments.
charm
Ornaments.
bracelets.
Ornaments, koozies.
Start our own line.
But that was interesting. And come to find out, she was going fishing in the trot line tournament the next day.
She was. Matt invited us to a trot line tournament, which I wish they would have told us that before we kind of got into the squirrel thing, having to leave that next morning early. But, man, I enjoyed going and doing that. They had a trot line tournament, no rules.
Biggest
Use any
fish and
bait
most
you want,
fish.
biggest fish and most fish. And they all pooled up money, and it was from 12 o'clock one afternoon to 12 o'clock the next afternoon. You had
24
you had
hours.
24 hours to catch the biggest fish or the most fish. And he said they weigh in, what, 60,
It was
50s and 60-pound flatheads.
y'all-
and
They're
stuff.
all, he said they were all flatheads they were catching.
If y'all would have had the heads up and you had Randy with you,
I know. That's what I was telling Malcolm. I'm coming back. I need to borrow a boat.
We told him
All
next
you need
time.
a boat and Randy, and you got it wrapped up.
Well, how he got into it, he's like, all right, we got to go check our bait traps because we have this trot line tournament tomorrow. And he said we had traps set all over the county there, I guess, on different ponds and stuff. They was catching pond perch because that's what they wanted to bait their trot lines with for these flatheads. And so he said, y'all want to go check some traps? And me and Mikey's like, hell yeah.
I've never seen a
I was
trap.
like, so we never
made it to the traps.
We went down. Well, first we went to the beer store, and then we went to where I don't know where we went down to some river bottom somewhere.
Yeah.
We ended up at his old fish shack. That's like you'd see something you'd see down at Cutoff. It was like, and he told us how old it was. It'd been in that family for decades.
Yeah, decades.
I mean, it was old.
It was up on stilts right next to a river.
We sat out there and talked about trot line fishing till we had to go to bed.
But yeah, that was
Michelle was watching me on the just trying to see where I was on Life 360. She said, "I didn't know somebody done kidnapped you or what." And I said, "Man, you know, I'm with Mikey. We're gonna meet somebody to go to the river with."
yeah.
She's probably trying to see if we was going to Columbus. We didn't go that direction.
That was what John Curran said when we came back in that night. He was like, "Did y'all go to the Pink Pony or where'd y'all go? Y'all left out of here, and that's the only thing that's open."
It's the only thing open in that part of the country. We said, "No, we went to the river." You'd have wanted to go with us there. He said, "I wish I'd have known. I'd have went with y'all."
I didn't think about that. I didn't know who he was, so I didn't really.
Yeah.
They were sitting in there having them a nightcap when we came back and turned around and went right back out the door. But
Well, we went in and drank whiskey with the other guy till I don't know what time it was. Then we had to get up the next morning and go to the Squirrel Cook-Off.
Y'all went from catfish, perch, pond, traps to squirrel.
yeah,
Pecker necklaces.
And it was over. So we were in West Point, Mississippi, which was we had to backtrack.
yeah.
It turned a 5-hour drive into about a 7.5 hour for us. But
Yeah, I went from one side of the state to the other, then to the other,
Yeah. We crossed plumb over Mississippi and back all the way over Arkansas.
Well, just when you think you've done some redneck stuff, go to the World Squirrel Cook-Off and you'll find out real quick. That was a fun time, man. I'd heard of it before, but I never, knew what was really going on. And it was set up like a barbecue contest we go to. Everybody brought their, 10 by 10 tents.
Yeah, it looked like a
Set up-
state contest.
Yeah,
is
it looked
what
like, it looked like a steak contest or something. Everybody brought out whatever you could cook squirrel any way you wanted to. You had to turn in one dish that was like the main squirrel dish, and you had to turn in a side dish. And they wanted squirrel to be used in the side dish too, some kind of way.
I forget what the ratio was. It 70%.
I think that's what y'all said. You said
It was in the main dish. It had to
Yeah.
squirrel had to be 70% of the recipe. They just didn't want you to do turn in pork
dip,
sausage, with a bunch of that in it, and then have a little bit of squirrel. No, it had to be primarily squirrels of protein. But they did not supply the squirrels. You had to bring your
you
own
had to bring your
squirrels.
own.
So that knocked out a few teams because I think they had 40 signed up, and they ended up with 36, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was. Because some of the guys didn't show up with their own. I think some people let them borrow some squirrels. Some of them eventually got to cook because they borrowed a few squirrels from people, not knowing they had to bring their own. But
my question is, how many squirrels would you need? A limit?
Depends on the dish, I guess. You'd probably get away with 4 or 5 because you had to make enough for 6 judges.
You had to make 6 boxes too. 6 of the same boxes. Every judge got their own box.
Was it a full 9x9 box?
Yep.
Yeah.
Full box.
No, you need some squirrels.
Yeah.
In.
Now you had your side dish in that box too. And so that's what, most people did. They did something that would pair with the main dish too. So you couldn't do like squirrel chili and squirrel and dumplings. You couldn't do anything like that because they don't go together. Yeah, they had to go together.
Do some squirrel cornbread though.
Yeah.
My expectations of that when you said we were going over it to that, I was thinking everybody's going to do fried squirrel, a squirrel and dumpling, maybe
bacon
some kind of stew or bacon wrap this. And, it was going to be just your mouth was going to be so greasy by the time you left there from all the grease you done eat.
Yeah.
It was not that.
I didn't have one out of all that. And I judged on one table. And then there was 2 tables, basically. I think we had 6 judges on each table.
Yeah.
And I think I did 17 or 18 entries on my table. That's how many I had to physically judge, and all the judges did. And I didn't have one squirrel and dumpling out of all those. So if you got a good squirrel and dumpling, you probably could have gone over and walked the dog.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I mean, I seen squirrel ramen that looked like it come out of a 5-star restaurant, the way they did it up. The bowls, the way they done it and everything. I mean, it was very impressive the way it looked. And then there was several other dishes. I don't know what it was, but the way they had that decorated and the dish the main dish and the side dish that they had just went together. And man, it was unreal. They made squirrel empanadas. They made one guy took chicken thighs, scraped the fat off the chicken thighs, stuffed it with a squirrel boudin. He made squirrel and mashed it up in the boudin.
Just with the skin.
Just with the chicken skin. And then he made these little pouches or dumplings.
They're called beggar's purses.
Yeah,
He fried those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. I had that on my table.
Good.
It was real good. Yeah. The best dish I had, they had took a squirrel leg quarter and it was melt in your mouth. I didn't know squirrel could get that tender. Most tender squirrel I'd ever ate. And it was like, it had been, I guess, they had to pressure cooked it or stewed it down or something because it wouldn't fall off the bone. You could still pick it up. But when you bit into it, it was like the best, tenderest, more tender than chicken, fried chicken you ever ate.
Grilled flavor?
No, it was kind of baked, I guess, or roasted is what I figured. But they served it over a wild mushroom rice, which was really good. And then their side dish was a hand pie. And it was supposed to be like a mincemeat pie, which mincemeat is typically kind of sweet. So it had a sweet element to it, but it was super savory. And they had took the squirrel and worked it into that mincemeat. I don't know. It
tasted like an apple or something maybe that was.
It was like apples or.
See, in my mind, that don't even sound good.
It was amazing. It was amazing. That dish went together the best out of everything. And that was the consensus on my table. Once we got that one, hands down, that was a clear cut.
So this ain't something you just wake up on Saturday morning and say,
no, it ain't like we went squirrel hunting last year and everybody make a dish on the back of the side by side. No. The first dish I had, I knew it was going to be a good day when the first dish I had was a half a pineapple they had cored out, and they had made like a sweet and sour squirrel. So it was like an Asian dish. And then their side dish was a squirrel fried rice. And I was like, holy smokes, this is out the box. So, and you see that. And then I had squirrel pizza. I had homemade tamales. Oh, yeah, the squirrel pizza was excellent. And I guess what they did was just cooked a bunch of squirrel and shredded it and used it and made like a pizza. And it was good.
I could see that being really good.
It was really good. They had squirrel tamales were good. Somebody had made homemade tamales with squirrel meat. I mean, there was just all kinds of stuff like that was different than anything I was expecting a lot of fried squirrel. Now I had one that it was just like pepper squirrel. It was like something your mom would make at home. It was just tender squirrel, and they just, I guess, flash fried it or something. And it was good. It needed some more. It was just plain, but the squirrel was good. So that one scored pretty good for me too. Some of them you wouldn't even know it was squirrel.
Yeah.
Like there was no way to know. It was that unique, it was like you could just tell it was meat. And so I kind of lean towards, this is squirrel contest. Let me know I'm eating squirrel, But
you got to go in with an open mind.
You have to.
You can't go in there think,
Yeah. And
you're going to get something, and that may not be what you get.
That's right. And they weren't compared. Like, you didn't compare one dish to the other either. You scored each of them. Everybody got scored the same criteria, and they just took all 6 scores and added them up.
Well, it was so far on. It was so different from one dish to the next because they. I mean, you got tacos, you got Asian, you got, pretty much home cooking, and then you got, all these other things.
I had ravioli.
I was going to say there was 2 raviolis turned in. One looked like a big Hot Pocket. Yeah. And then there was a raviolis hit that other table that you wasn't on. I took pictures of. It looked like raviolis you got out of the can. They had made hand little bitty raviolis enough for 6 judges. I mean, I don't know what all they went through to make those things. It was a lot. I mean, it was neat because while he was judging, I got to get outside and walk around and watch them. I mean, everybody, I think most people had pressure cookers, fryers. Everybody kind of brought, that was their main cooking utensils was pressure cookers, fryers. I didn't see too many crock pots. It probably took too long. But
I saw when I walked around, there was a lot of those Instant Pots that had the pressure cooker attachment. So you had an air fryer and a pressure cooker in one, which I thought that was super smart.
But man, they weren't just cooking the squirrel. There was a bunch of them that were handing out food, and the lines were so long. They would hand out chicken tacos and all this different stuff, and they were feeding the masses. When you went up there, you got plenty to eat when you walked around while they were cooking and stuff.
And it was a free event.
Yeah, it was open to the public. It was open to the public. And Joe and them, they had actually. The organizers, that guy's a freaking idiot, man. That guy, he had me rolling. I can't even say what that guy was saying to us up there.
He called us on the way over there. We were headed that way, I guess, just to make sure we was really coming. And what did he say, Mikey?
I don't know. Can I say that on here?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
So he asked us, he said, I need some recipes on he said, I got some iguanas they killed with pellet rifles down in Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
And he said, I got to cook a dozen of them iguanas. He said, and then somebody brought about 100-pound Asian carp. I don't know what the hell to do with this thing. He said, but we're going to fry it and feed everybody with it. And anyways, me and
one of jumping carps.
I don't know which one would be worse eating. Iguana, I don't know about that.
I ain't eating no iguana. You can hang it up.
But old tree rat. Tree lizard, I guess.
Anyways, yeah.
So, he had how many test rabbits did they have?
Oh God,
test rabbits.
So they had 2 dozen test rabbits. They got them from a pharmaceutical company. Donated them to them.
He said there ain't nothing wrong with the meat. They were using some of their parts for research.
Got 4 extra legs.
Saying no way I'd eat that.
The test buddy dude was judged on the table with me, the one that brought him.
Yeah,
and he actually worked for I guess it's the government or whatever, and they were using those rabbits for something. But
it ain't no way.
You wouldn't eat them?
Heck no. I'm a conspiracy guy anyway. I definitely wouldn't eat nothing. Government been doctoring on.
And then he told us, Joe said, when he called, that they had 2 alligators that were supposed to get shipped to them. Well, something happened. They didn't get their alligators, but the Arkansas Game and Fish had just confiscated a gator from somebody's house. They weren't supposed to have them in Arkansas. They confiscated it, but the only problem is it's still alive, so we got to shoot it and skin it, and we're going to cook it too. So all of this went on at the World Squirrel Cook-Off.
Y'all had test animals,
test animals from the Viagra plant, and we had somebody's pet alligator.
Got to cook them a little bit longer. They've been testing Pfizer products on them. So.
100-pound Asian carp they found at the spillway.
Yeah.
How was the carp? You did try the carp.
So Mikey, I didn't get to try any of this stuff. Mark Lambert and who else was there cooking with him?
I didn't. I recognize some of the guys, but I don't know their names. But they cooked all the rabbits. They made a rabbit.
So it was Mark Lambert, y'all know him, Sweet Swine of Mine, and Dan Judd from State Cook-Offs. They were over there heading up all this cooking of the rabbits and the iguana. But it was a whole crew of people. Like they had a whole
it was 2 dozen people over there cooking. They had different stations because there was one guy, he was frying the iguana. There was another couple of people, they were frying the Asian carp, and Mark and them were over there. They had a big witch's kettle, one of the biggest ones I've ever seen, and they had all them rabbits down in there making some kind of rabbit stew out of it.
Fricassee.
Fricassee, that's what. Yeah. rabbit fricassee they were making.
That he miss.
The alligator, I don't know what they done with it. We were judging, or y'all were judging at that time. I didn't get to see what they done with it, but I did get to eat the Asian carp.
So what did you think about Asian? Now, most time you think of them as just trash fish. So they're invasive. Yeah. They're taking over all our waterways. The river here is full of them.
I was expecting to have to spit it out, and it tastes like it tastes like a bass almost.
You could eat it. No problem.
Oh, yeah.
White meat, real white.
Yeah, it was white, flaky meat.
So I've had regular carp, and it wasn't bad at all.
Would you eat one of them jumping carp?
Yeah. Guy my Uncle Jimmy worked with, he'd get it and pressure cook it just like salmon and can it in a jar with vinegar and hot sauce and different kind of spices. And I mean, he had a bone in it, but
I don't know about that.
Would you eat it like that?
Yeah, I've tried it. Yeah.
Really?
But they were making tacos out of it. I mean, they were making like real deal fish tacos. They had a slaw. They were putting cilantro, lime juice, and they had some kind of, sauce they were putting on them. And there was 150 people lined up to eat that fish.
But it didn't taste, I mean, what I had wasn't fishy like you would think. It wasn't like strong fish.
You wouldn't have known what it was.
You wouldn't have known what it was.
Yeah. What about the iguana? Did you try it?
I didn't get to try it, man. I was hanging around like they were frying it and cooking it. And I was like, well, I'm going to get some of that. And I think maybe they made a jambalaya or something with it.
That sounded like it'd be so tough you couldn't chew it.
I'm going to go back to my old saying, if it eats other animals or meats, I ain't eating it.
You ain't eating it.
I ain't eating it.
I'll try about anything.
The mountain lion broke me of that. That was the.
Would you eat bear?
No.
Really?
Oh, yeah, try it. Yeah.
No. I have no urge.
I wouldn't care about hunting bear, but I'd try it and eat it.
What about coon?
Yeah.
So we can cook some coons on that fire pit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Roast them dudes.
I watched a coon eat a toad frog on my front porch. I just don't know. I don't know.
I've ate coon. It's
Coon's
not bad.
good.
Barbecue coon, that's pretty good.
So y'all went from one extreme, from pharmaceutical foods all the way.
Did y'all stop and have to get some Pepto at a truck stop between?
Believe it or not, I was thinking. Mikey's telling me, "Oh, you're gonna be wrecked," because I mean, after trying all these, I mean, and they were across the board all different. Like you would think you would have some problems, but it wasn't. It wasn't bad at all. I mean, I wasn't sick or anything. I didn't have any issues. We got back in the truck and drove straight back to Mississippi.
Yeah.
They also did a squirrel dressing contest.
Yeah. So I mean, now look, it was a full event. Now there was a lot of things. It was really a cool. I mean, we're making out. It's not really the redneck. It is a redneck event.
It's pretty redneck.
They
ran very well.
It ran very well.
Yeah.
They had a shooting contest for the kids. That was the first all adults and kids. So they had that inside of this facility that they had over there. It was the Arkansas Springdale Nature Center or something like that.
Yeah.
So they had that. I got to watch some of that. I didn't get to stay very long in that one. They did that, and then they turned around and they had a squirrel skinning contest. So
Did you get to see all of it?
I seen all of it. Yeah, I seen both of those events.
The way they did that, you raced somebody.
Yeah, you had to race somebody. So you got a gray squirrel, just a young gray squirrel in the first round. So it was single elimination. If me and Malcolm lined up, Malcolm beat me. He went to the next round. I was out.
What'd you have to do? Just get his hide off of him? Or?
You had to clean it.
Clean squirrel.
You didn't have to clean it all the way down to the nose. You can cut the head off, but they had to
hide off of it.
Get the hide off of it, get the guts out of it.
Chop the head.
Chop the head off. Yep. And I mean, it had to have no guts in it, no hair on it by the time you're done. And I mean, those guys are doing it pretty freaking quick.
You think you could have done it as fast as they did?
Some of them, yeah, but
we're gonna get to practicing this year.
I'm gonna get in it
next year, so we get that squirrel trophy.
But then the next round, the guys that went, they got a boar squirrel. So he had a pair of cods on him.
Yeah,
and he was a little bit bigger.
Still a gray squirrel. Or
still a gray squirrel. And then if you made it through that round, which that eliminated everybody but two guys, and then the final round was a big old freaking nasty fox squirrel with cods. I'm talking about some big old cods on it. It just looked tough, you know.
It was Boone and Crockett.
Yeah, it was big. And anyways, that was the final round. But anyways, it was a black fella over there. He won it. Michael, I think his name was Michael. I can't remember his last name.
What technique? Could you tell what they were doing? Like, were they doing anything crazy?
They've been practicing like since last year.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Yeah, so he was the champion. The guy that was they did it different ways. Someone split him down the back, pulled him like that. If they busted them and they come apart, you knew they'd lost.
Eliminated.
Yeah, they wasn't eliminated, but that was pretty much done for them. No, you're not going to recover from that. So they were at a disadvantage. You know, of course, if you pop the tail off, clean it the other way where you hold him up, cut him down the back legs, and then step on his tail and hold his back feet, you pull it, stand up with your, just the force of you pulling up with your legs, you pull the hide off, pretty much take it all the way down like a T-shirt, and then you had just the back legs, a little flap on the belly, and come up to the back legs, and then cut off the head 4 feet off, pull the guts out, and he done.
It's all hands on. They're not using a squirrel dressing tool and all.
No,
Could you
could bring a knife, and that was it.
What about could you use clippers if you wanted to?
They said that they would let them use if they wanted to use scissors or something like that. I think they some kind of shear. They would let them bring it to the table, but that was it. You couldn't bring anything else.
Man, I hadn't dressed a squirrel in so long. It'd take me. I could dress a deer quicker than a squirrel, probably.
But that guy that won, he was pretty daggum quick. I mean, when they started,
we're talking like a minute or less than a minute.
About a minute.
About a minute.
Yep.
It's crazy.
We gotta get your timing. We gotta get it down, Mike.
Yeah. I don't know. I interviewed that guy after he got through and asked him what it took to be a world champion cleaner. And he said he squirrel hunted religiously almost every day. Dang. He said, I've cleaned thousands and thousands and thousands of squirrels since I was a kid. So that was all he pretty much done was squirrel hunted, mostly. So he was good at it. He was really
done it because he was outdoors, but not because he practiced a lot.
Yeah.
He'd been doing that way of living.
Yeah.
It wasn't a hobby to him.
Well, and they also had a squirrel eating contest.
Oh, that does.
Hottest squirrel.
Yeah. What was that all about?
Man. All right. So was it Joe, the big guy in the overalls and that was kind of, you may not have met him. Anyways, he ran all that. He was cooking too, but he did all that. So he said the first year they did the contest or did this hottest squirrel in the world contest, he did leg quarters, hind leg quarters. So he did 1 or 2 for each contestant. They only took 6. And he made this stuff called lava sauce. Well, this year they had to eat the entire squirrel.
It's a whole
cooked squirrel. So they cook this thing and they drop it down in this big stock pot. And down in this pot, he's got all kinds of peppers. I've seen at least 5 whole cayennes. He had ghost pepper powder. He had all these different kind of chilies and things down in there. I mean, it was like napalm. You couldn't even stand around.
You couldn't hang away.
It was like pepper bomb.
It was over hot cooking and the steam was coming out and it was taking my breath. And I looked over in there. I was like, man, y'all are fixing to kill somebody.
That's like the stuff they make bear spray out of.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. But anyways, they brought it over they brought all the squirrels over in a little turn-in box, set them down on the table. So whoever cleaned the squirrel off the fastest without tapping out, if they made it, the way they done the contest is if multiple people made it all the way through it, or maybe they finished it at the same time, they was too close. It was who could stand there long without drinking water. Oh, but they didn't make it that far.
So how'd that go?
So, anyways, while I was sitting there, and there was a couple of guys come up there, and there was this one big dude. I mean, big dude. He come up there, and everybody's hooping and hollering for him. He's got his arms over his head. I was like, he done won. He was the first one to tap out. He got into that squirrel about 6, 7, 8 bites into it, and he got them hiccups. And I looked over and he went, whoop, and he went, ugh. I was screaming at him, tap out, don't do it, tap out. I knew what was coming next. I said, you take another bite, man, you finna spill that squirrel.
Did he?
He was fixing to, and everybody screaming at him, no. And he backed out. Man, he looked like he was about to die. His eyes were watering, his face was red. He had them hiccups so bad he couldn't breathe.
That hurts too.
God, it was hurting him. And the rest of the guys, everybody else made it through. There was one guy that won it, and
so they finished.
Finished it. Yeah, there was 5 of them that finished it. And one guy, there was a couple of them that were kind of far back, and there was 2 that finished, pretty quick. But when they got through, man, they were in pain.
That's when
them grown men was crying. I mean, they were sitting over. I asked them, was it the hottest thing they ever eaten? They told me, yeah. They said that was a mistake. I ain't doing that again.
I could have told
you ain't no way.
We done been down that road.
Yeah, I've been there. I wouldn't even try that sauce.
It was probably 30, 45 minutes after the contest. I was over there talking to them. They was, they done drank milk. They was drinking all this stuff trying to get the fire out. And
did they have anything for them to drink there, or was it like
they had water, but you can't drink it.
Yeah.
Not until you're done. When you're, until you completely finish, and
they get a winner.
Then they get a winner. That's when you
Man,
drink.
That ain't worth that. I don't know what
water
they
don't
won.
even help. That's the bad thing.
Yeah,
Once you get to that point,
No, that's what that guy said. He'd take a drink of water, and he said, "I think it makes it worse."
Yeah,
It's just,
there ain't nothing you could do at that point. It's just
I can't do hot
But the
stuff.
bad thing
We
is
drank?
the next 2 days after that.
Oh, no
you imagine
doubt.
that?
no, I don't have to imagine.
Yeah,
I've been there and done it. I know.
I've made my mistake one time eating hot stuff.
What was the liquid stuff we drank that did help? The little yogurt.
Oh, Mylanta or something.
No. It was a little refrigerated probiotics.
Oh, yeah. Those little,
Yeah, I'd have gave $1,000 for that.
Yeah.
You had to do something to coat your insides because it's just on fire from not just from your lips, but man, I can imagine them stuff. They were slinging sauce. And it was all over your face. And
That was what the guy said that was running it. He said, nobody came with gloves. He said, what is wrong with, he said, all right, it's too late now. We're finna start.
Oh, man.
Nobody had gloves. And that crap was all over them. I mean, when they were eating it, they were slinging it everywhere.
Let's get over the crowd.
It was getting in the crowd. It was getting all over the other
You in the splash
contestants.
zone.
Oh, my Lord. I felt so bad for those guys.
Oh, I did get to meet the Bear Grease, Clay Newcomb. He was there and did I got to sit in on his podcast with him. They had North America's Best Small Game Hunter was on there too. He brought his dog on the podcast. That was pretty cool. I can't remember that guy's name. He's on Instagram though, but he's a world-renowned squirrel hunter from Kentucky.
We don't do it near about enough, but it is an art to like some of that small game, like squirrel hunting. Like you look back, it's to me that's like back in the day. Like it kind of goes back to like where the red fern grows, about like coon hunting and stuff. Like it is like that's what everybody done 50 years ago.
I used to love squirrel hunting, but I hadn't squirrel hunted last year.
Me and Jamie went on best one I ever went on last year. It'll spoil you going over to the island.
That ain't old school squirrel hunting.
Man, no, that's what squirrel hunting should be though. It was fun.
I'm going to tell you what, those boys is over there, if they're killing squirrels around Springdale, they pretty tough. Because that was some mountains like I ain't never seen in Arkansas. I've seen them like that up in, Tennessee and stuff, but over there was a different kind of, mountain and terrain over there. It was tunnels through those mountains, and some of those bridges or overpasses or whatever you call them.
Was over the valley.
It was stuff like they parachuted and hang glide and bungee jumped off of.
What do they call it?
Free base jumping? Yeah.
Not free base.
Not free base. That's a different thing.
That's a different thing.
Free base jumping.
But if I can't imagine climbing up and down them hills, running squirrels, trying to kill squirrels over there in those mountains like that.
I'm pretty sure I know exactly where y'all's at. We went and cooked a steak contest up in that area. Me and Emily did. And I think I know exactly what tunnel you're talking about. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was real beautiful.
I've never seen a part of Arkansas like that.
So in other words, y'all got it booked for next year?
Yeah,
I'd definitely go back. Yeah, if it ain't, I hope it ain't the same weekend as the trotline tournament.
I don't know if we could talk somebody into moving one or the other where we can hit the trotline tournament.
So we can participate.
I did not want to leave Mossy Oak that day. I was like, man, I would love to go on that trotline tournament.
But it's got me wanting to go catch some fish and do some squirrel hunting before we get into deer season. So
it's that time. I get to go this week.
Where you headed to?
Panther Swamp.
Is it a squirrel
Yazoo
hunt?
City. Yep. It's a annual squirrel hunt that a bunch of friends of mine do. My brother and a bunch of older guys that grew up around us out there, and they go down to Panther Swamp every year, and they do just an annual squirrel hunt. So you go in there and you steel hunt. They stay for about 3 days.
No dogs at all?
No dogs. It's pretty primitive. Just camping, bring your own water, buckets.
Y'all just hitting the
poopers.
You just hitting the woods, huh?
Just hitting the woods, and
I don't know where our bucket is. Jamie, you see my bucket anywhere? We can let Mikey borrow.
I don't want to look for your bucket.
They need to borrow the bucket.
That's the most sanitary bucket you could have. It had its own zip-up bags and everything.
Yeah. Here, hold this. Nope.
Why's your bucket
Had a can
heavy?
of Lysol in it, some Charmin. It wasn't no rough John Wayne toilet paper. It was the real deal.
Good stuff.
It's the good stuff that you keep in the big house. You need to get you a tent and a bucket, Mikey. You be ready to go.
Yeah.
A couple jugs of water.
I don't know. I was trying to borrow a camper, and Mark was using his this weekend, and The other one I tried to borrow, they were using it. So, yeah, I'm going to have to – me and Randy's going to be piled up in the tent together.
I told Mikey he showed up down in them woods in my trailer. There'd be a line out the door to use the crapper in the shower.
I'd have brought Mark's camper back.
It'd be wrecked.
What y'all got going on?
We're going to Cleveland, Mississippi. Going to do the whole Oktoberfest. Got a MBN contest. We're going to do just ribs and try to stay on a good winning streak. I hope we'll see.
We'll see how it works because I'll be out of town. Mark's carrying Emily, so we're gonna see.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Arkansas.
Oh, are you? What part?
Over at North Fort Lake.
Okay.
Go over
Y'all riding or hunting?
Yeah,
or what are you doing?
And ride, and then we're leaving Friday, going to Missouri, and riding Missouri Friday, and coming home Friday night.
Man, it's gonna be beautiful. I bet the leaves are turning up there. It's cooler
It's
up
cooler.
there.
It's a little bit cooler up there.
You check your temperatures because it's supposed to drop down.
It's a
here.
little bit cooler in here. It's not a lot, but
It's supposed to get back down a little bit here this
I
weekend.
think the high is going to maybe be in the 70s, but at night it's going to be down to probably high 40s, mid 40s.
I'm taking the fire pit with me. I'm gonna enjoy this weekend. But like Jamie said, he's not going with me. Emily's going. I usually do good when it's just Emily or just Jamie. But if you put them both in the trailer together, we're finna bomb.
Yeah, we're not.
Like
we're
it's
not,
some
we're
bad
not winning.
mojo goes on. I don't know what they do, but we'll see. It'll be a good weekend though.
Well, good deal. Well, that's about it for today, fellas. Y'all got anything else y'all want to mention before we jump out of here?
Yeah, hey, don't forget, reach out to me at Jamie at How to Barbecue Right, or Jamie at KillerHogs.com rather. And if you're interested in the handicap hunt coming up down Arca Butler, be the first and second weekend of December, and I can get you in touch with Rob and get you all lined out on that.
Did y'all do the work day for that yet?
We're doing a work day Saturday. That's why I'm coming. This coming up Saturday. That's why I'm coming home Friday. We'll go down there and get some stands fixed up, and get the trails cleaned up going to the stand, and have it all ready for them guys coming in town.
Good deal. Mark, where do they find us?
Man, y'all check us out at buckjunkies.com. Of course, we got all the apparel and stuff, and we got some new recipe videos should be hitting and staying busy. It's about to kick off some of our favorite time of the year. Finna have a lot of content and finna start hunting some deer not too much longer.
It won't be long. Close. I think we got some of those pictures from Mikey that Mikey did, a little video, if anybody hadn't seen them, on the Facebook, probably on the TikTok, Buck Junkies. With the squirrel on the TikTok.
You old man.
But if y'all want to see that World Squirrel Cook-Off, y'all check them out. And y'all can go, if you got any questions on that, find Joe Wilson, the Squirrel Man, on Facebook. He'll be glad. I promise you, he'll be glad to answer any questions
Just
about
be prepared.
the world championship.
He may be trying to sell a bidet, but
go ahead, start getting you some squirrels, put them in the freezer, and be ready for next year because y'all want to be a part of that. It's a lot of fun. But appreciate y'all hanging out today. We gone.